In America, we love stories about underdogs proving people wrong. But sometimes, the lesson isn't just about success, it's about respect. This is the story of a man who walked into one of the most exclusive restaurants in New York City, only to be humiliated by the staff. They judged him based on how he looked. What they didn't know, he was the last person they should have turned away. And when the truth came out, the entire restaurant was left in complete shock. It was a Friday night in Manhattan, and Jefferson Prime Steakhouse was buzzing. This wasn't just any restaurant. It was a place where high-profile CEOs closed million-dollar deals and celebrities came to escape the paparazzi. With its gold-plated silverware, chandeliers, and private wine vaults, it catered to the wealthiest people in the city. That's when he walked in. A man in his late 30s, dressed in a simple gray hoodie, faded jeans, and old sneakers. His hands were in his pockets, and his posture was relaxed. Too relaxed for a place like this. Emily, the hostess at the front, barely looked up before assuming he was in the wrong place. Her job was to welcome important guests, not deal with random walk-ins. She sighed. "Excuse me, sir, do you have a reservation?" The man, whose name was David, smiled politely. "No, but I'd like to get a table." Emily pressed her lips together, already annoyed. "I'm sorry, but we're fully booked tonight." David glanced around. There were at least 4 empty tables near the window. "I don't mind waiting," he said. Emily's forced smile disappeared. She leaned in slightly and lowered her voice. "Sir, this restaurant has a certain standard. Our guests dress a certain way, and we have a very strict dress code." Her tone made it clear, you don't belong here. At that moment, the restaurant doors swung open, and a wealthy-looking couple stepped in. The woman wore a designer dress, and the man had a Rolex on his wrist. Emily's entire demeanor changed in an instant. Her smile became wide and genuine. "Mr. and Mrs. Lancaster, welcome back. Your table is ready." As she led them inside, David smirked. He had seen this happen 1,000 times before. Instead of making a scene, he simply pulled out his phone. He scrolled through his contacts, pressed a button, and said just one sentence. "Yeah, I'm at the front. They won't let me in." 5 minutes later, a man in a tailored black suit rushed out of the kitchen, looking panicked. It was Tom, the general manager of Jefferson Prime Steakhouse. He was the kind of guy who made sure the richest guests got exactly what they wanted. But right now, he looked like he had just seen a ghost. The moment Tom spotted David, his face went pale. "Mr. Anderson, I had no idea you were coming tonight," he stammered, eyes wide. Emily frowned. "Wait, what?" Tom turned to her with disbelief. "You mean you didn't recognize him?" Emily shook her head. Who is he?" Tom swallowed hard. "This is David Anderson. He's the owner of this entire restaurant chain." Silence. The entire room went completely still. Guests who had been sipping expensive wine froze mid-sip. The servers, who had barely paid attention before, now stood at attention. Emily's face turned ghost white. David crossed his arms. "So, let me get this straight. You looked at me, decided I wasn't good enough, and turned me away." Emily stuttered. I didn't know." "That's the problem," David said. His voice was calm, but there was power behind his words. "You didn't bother to know. You just assumed." Tom clenched his jaw and turned to Emily. "We do not treat our customers like this. You are officially dismissed from the restaurant." Her eyes widened. "Wait. I'm being fired." Tom didn't answer. He didn't have to. David sighed and shook his head. "I don't like firing people. But I also don't tolerate discrimination in any form. This isn't just about me. What if I really was just a regular guy looking for a meal?" Emily had no response. The rest of the staff looked at David with a mix of awe and fear. Tom quickly led him inside, this time, to the best table in the house. As David sat down, the couple who had just been seated moments before leaned in. The man, Mr. Lancaster, chuckled and said, "You handled that well. I've had my fair share of bad service too." David grinned. "It's funny, isn't it? People judge others based on what they see. They forget that real power doesn't need to be flashy." Mr. Lancaster raised his glass to humility. David picked up his water and clinked glasses to treating people with respect. And with that, he took a bite of his steak, one that he definitely didn't have to wait for. Because this time, nobody dared to turn him away. What do you think? Now, let's hear from you. Have you ever experienced a situation where someone judged you unfairly? Do you think the hostess deserved to be fired, or should she have been given a second chance? If you were in David's position, how would you have handled it? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more real-life lessons. At Super Stories.